Hello everyone, this is part 2 of What If Naruto Had Some Help, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. When he appeared in his home, Ino was sitting on the couch reading a magazine and she gasped and said, "Daddy, what's Naruto doing here and what's wrong with him?" Inoki glared at her and said, "Shut up and sit down, young lady. You are in very much trouble. I will deal with you in a few minutes." As he turned and walked up the stairs and took Naruto to his bedroom and set him down on his bed before removing his shoes and covering him up. Ino was scared by the look her dad had and thought, "What did I do?" When Inoki walked down the stairs, Ino started to say something and Inoki said, "If you so much as say one word, I will bend you over my knees and spank your ass until you can't sit. I am very, very disappointed in you." As he walked in front of her, walking back and forward several times trying to calm himself down. Ino thought as she trembled under the key coming from her dad, "What happened? I didn't do anything to deserve this, did I?" Inoki stopped and looked at her and she flinched and he said, "All right. I think I have calmed down enough to tell you why I am so upset. Do you remember what happened 2 weeks ago, the day you got your teams? Just nod, don't speak or I might hurt you." Ino nods and Inoki said, "You remember how you broke into Naruto's apartment and took his money?" Ino nods again and Inoki said, "Because of you Naruto did not move but was evicted from his home because that money was not only his food money but his rent money. That was all the money he had in the world," making Ino eyes wide and she started to say something and Inoki raised his hand and she closed her mouth. Inoki said, "It doesn't end just there either. Because of your actions his landlord refused to even let him take anything from the apartment, claiming he would have to sell them to cover the rent or some bull story landlords do, so all he had was the cloths on his back. He left and snuck to the roof of another building to try and get something after the manager left, but the manager burnt everything Naruto owned, making Ino feel a little guilty." Inoki saw this and said, "But that's only just the beginning of the suffering Naruto has had to endure because of you for the past 2 weeks. No, it gets much worse. You see, that money was his food money to pay his tab at the ramen stand, but because he didn't have any money he couldn't get any food, so he has only had a fish he caught in the river and a few berries to eat in all this time." Inoki stopped and walked back and forward a few times and he asked, "If you were Naruto, what would you have done in his situation?" "Ino, you can speak." Ino said, "I don't know, maybe go to a friend's house." Inoki glared at her and asked, "And what friends does he have, Ino?" Ino opened her mouth and said, I don't know, Daddy." Inoki said, "None. You see, there are things about Naruto I can't tell you without his permission, but because of these things Naruto is hated by nearly the entire village and it is not even his fault. In fact, he should be seen as a hero instead for it, but he is kicked out of stores, glared at, spat on, hit, overcharged, and countless other things since the day he was born, Ino. It's not because of his pranks or anything like that." Ino gaped at this and thought, what could make people hate Naruto like that? Inoki sighed and said, "That's not the worst of it, Ino. You have hurt him like no other person has ever hurt him before. You cleaned his apartment, didn't you?" Ino nods and Inoki asked, "Were there ramen cups around the apartment?" Ino said, "Yeah, all over the place, really messy." Inoki glared at her agent, making her flinch, and he said, "You see, Ino, Naruto doesn't have a lot of valuable things before that because he couldn't afford them, but those ramen cups were like your flour press, dear. On the bottom of each of those cups were names, dates and events that something good happened to him in his life. He had them laying around like trash, so if someone broke into his apartment again they would think they were just trash and not destroy them, but you invade his home, somewhere he felt somewhat safe, and threw his precious memories away." Ino said, "But I didn't know. If I would have just left them and sat quietly." Inoki said, "You shouldn't have even been in his apartment in the first place," as he gasped for breath, shocking her. He continued, "Your actions have consequences, Ino, some drastic. Come with me," as he got up and walked up the stairs. Ino got up and followed, and she followed her dad into his bedroom and saw Naruto passed out, and Inoki walked over and pulled Naruto's arm out and said, "Come here, young lady, and look what your actions caused," as he pulled up Naruto's sleeve. Ino gasped as she saw the scars and said, "No, don't tell me that." Inoki grabbed her arm and pulled her out of the room and back to the front room and pointed to the couch, and she sat down rubbing her arm that had a red handprint from his hand, and he said, "Yes, that night he tried to kill himself, Ino, because he felt like he had nothing left to live for. He never knew his parents, Ino. H's never had anyone besides the Hokage, who is a very busy man, the old man at the ramen stand, and his daughter, and maybe one or two other people. Besides that, he has been alone, treated like S because of something he had no control over, and he never even knew why he was treated that way until the day of your graduation. What I am about to tell you is exactly how Naruto passed that day." Ino looked at her dad in interest, and he said, "The teachers at the academy have purposely sabotaged his education, Ino, so bad I can't even begin, but because of this and the reason he is hated, he has too much chakra to produce the Bunshin, and nobody would teach him how to control it." But the assistant Mizuki pulled Naruto aside and told Naruto there was a second test he could take, and if he passed he would graduate. He told Naruto the location of the forbidden scroll of seals in the Hokage Tower, and told him a location to bring it to, and told him if he could learn one jutsu from it he would pass. Naruto, who even though was sabotaged by the teachers, has trained himself enough that he was able to sneak by 4 patrols of Anbu and Tenchunin, break into the location where the scroll was, which has the best security in the entire village, and was preparing to leave the tower when the Hokage discovered him. Naruto was able to incapacitate the Hokage long enough to escape the tower and the village. He went where Mizuki told him to go, and he learned a jutsu from the scroll before Iruka showed up. Naruto then learned he was tricked, but Mizuki attacked both them, wounding Iruka, who saved Naruto by taking a Fuma shuriken in the back. He then told Naruto why he was hated, though changed it enough to make him think it was his fault. Naruto got away while Iruka and Mizuki fought, but when Mizuki taunted Iruka, Naruto overheard it, and Iruka actually told the truth and believed in Naruto as the hero he should have been, and Naruto came back and saved Iruka from the king blow. Naruto then took the jutsu he learned and beat the hell out of Mizuki, nearly killing him. Iruka then congratulated Naruto, and since the jutsu Naruto learned was the Kijibunshin no Jutsu, a Junin version of the one he failed in the academy, he gave him his own headband. The Hokage then informed all of us who were looking for Naruto the truth, and Naruto was allowed to pass. Ino was floored and said, "I don't understand, Dad. Why is he hated and why is he here? I can understand you being mad at me now, and I bet if Naruto found out he would hate me." Inoki snorts and said, "Oh, don't worry, he knows. I told him." Making Ino eyes wide. He continued and said, "Tonight the Hokage had my team investigate the academy because someone has been breaking into the academy for the past 2 weeks at night. It turns out Naruto has been the one who's been doing it. He snuck in there and has been washing his clothes in the bathroom and sleeping on the floor in the academy. Did you know that when you were in the academy he was not allowed to go to the library? Because of that, since H has been there those nights, H has been trying to teach himself what H has been sabotaged so he could be a better ninja, so people will quit hating him. When we discovered this, we had to interrogate him, and he told us why he was there and everything that has happened. He didn't know who would take him money and throw his treasured things away. Do you have any idea how it felt to see someone emotionally broken and know your own daughter is the cause of this person's suffering? It killed me to tell my teammates what you did, and then when we had to tell him I would rather be esped by a kunai than do that. He then tried to say it was all okay, he didn't hate you or anything, and just asked if he could have his money so he could eat, and then asked what his punishment for breaking into the academy so he could stay dry and a little warm would be. He is nothing but skin and bones now, Ino. He weighs less than you do. His outfit hides it, but his body is being damaged from the hunger. We all could tell he was lying, and we gave him a choice to become our apprentices and learn from us because we learned his sensei has been ignoring him completely. He turned us down because he didn't want pity or guilt, Ino. Think about that. Going through all of this hardship and he won't take help. He wants to earn his own keep. If you would have been there, I would have hurt you, Ino. I am your father, but there are some things that can't be forgiven. We then told him we knew he was lying about you, and he finally broke, Ino. The fake smiles, the laughs when he was hurting all broke at that moment. You have hurt him and I don't know if he will ever forgive you and I don't know if I ever will either. You think everything is black or white, everything will have a happy ending and nothing bad will happen. Well, guess what? You're wrong. This world is cruel and painful. After he broke and curled himself into a ball and cried himself to exhaustion, we took him to the Hokage and he agreed to let us take him as our apprentice. Since he has nowhere to stay, he will be staying here. Your actions, Ino, have consequences. People can be helped or hurt by them, and this time your actions have hurt someone you know greatly. I have decided for the time being that I am going to let him use your loft. Ino jumped up and said, but, and Inoiki punched her in the stomach, knocking the air out of her and scarring her at the same time. He glared and said, no buts. I know I gave you that loft for when you get older, but you live under my roof and go by my rules. I have spoiled you, Ino, and treated you like a princess since your mother SD, but that ends now. You're an adult and I am treating you as such. You have scheduled hours you are to work at the flower shop unless your team activities interfere with them. If you do not show up for them, then you will be punished the first time in a deduction of pay, the second time a write-up, and the third time I will fire your ass and hire someone else. You will no longer get an allowance and you will no longer take cash out of the register or the safe for your own little wants. You will work for what you have or you will have nothing. You are responsible for your own laundry, your own healthcare products and your own rent. The first 2 hours of each day you work will be deducted for your room and board. You are not allowed to make your own lunch hours so you can go and chase after the Uchiha and be gone all day, or as I said, you will have pay cuts, write-ups and termination. If you want a day off, you have to tell me in advance and I will check the schedule to see if I can replace you that day. If I can't, tough. Ino screamed, this is all Naruto's fault. Inoiki slapped her across the face and screamed, no, this is all your fault. Naruto did not ask you to break into his apartment. Naruto did not ask you to steal his money. Naruto did not ask you to clean his apartment or get in his fridge. That was all why. ... Oh, you, and don't you dare scream in my face again, or I will disown you and kick you out. I did not raise a thief and I did not raise someone to break into people's homes. If I so much as see or hear of you blaming any of this on Naruto or having others blame him, I will carry out my threats. You have not only hurt Naruto but you have hurt me and I can't even look at you right now. Now get your ass to bed. As he moved out of her way, Ino, who was holding her face, ran up to her room and cried all the way up. After she was gone, a quiet voice said, please don't do that again, Yamanaka-sama. She may have hurt me but I am used to being hurt. Inos doesn't deserve that. You're her father and all she has. I am not worth it. Making Inoiki gasp as he looked at the top of the stairs and saw Naruto standing there with a to the world look in his eyes and a sad face. Inoiki asked, how much of that did you see and hear? Naruto said, enough, as he turned and walked back down the hall. He stopped outside the door. He saw Ino go into and he knocked. Ino, who was on her bed crying, heard the knocking and quickly got up and went to the door afraid, and when she opened it she saw Naruto and gasped as she saw the look on his face and she took a step back. Naruto said, I'm sorry that happened to you. If it helps, I'm leaving so you don't have to worry about me taking your place or ever see me again. I asked your dad not to do that again because I'm not worth it, as he turned and started to walk back down the hall. Ino, who was still holding her face, said, wait. Naruto stopped with his back still turned to her and she asked, why are you hated? Naruto closed his eyes and said, I was born on October 10th, the day Kyuubi attacked. The Yondaime did defeat the Kyuubi like we learned, but he did not K it. Nobody can K something that's immortal, so he made it mortal by summoning the Shinigami and taking a newborn infant and sealed the Kyuubi into him so that way when the baby grows up his chakra and Kyuubi would merge together, and when the baby SSK the Kyuubi with him. I was that baby, as he started to walk some more. Ino, who was wide-eyed, asked, then why were we told different? Naruto stopped again and said, the Yondaime asked that I been seen as a hero, but the villagers called for my death. In order to save my life, the Sandaime passed a law saying that nobody was to mention about the Kyuubi to those who didn't know, or even about the law under penalty of death, but the people either ignored the law or got around it by telling others I was a bad person or I was evil or to stay away from me, and those our age picked up on the adults' attitude toward me and did it also, as he started to leave again. Ino bit her lip and asked, where are you going? Naruto said, to see the Hokage and resign as a ninja. I have nothing here anymore. I am leaving the village. Maybe I can find someplace in the world where people won't know me and I can. As he stopped talking and started to walk some more and he reached the stairs. Ino fell to her knees as she began to cry and thought, it's all my fault. H is leaving because of me. If I hadn't have broken, none of this would have happened, as she pulled her knees to her chest and began to cry. Anoiki looked at him from the bottom of the stairs and thought, I have no right to stop him. Ino knows the truth now so she can understand, but I think the price was way too high. I can't believe I actually slapped her, my own daughter, because I was angry, as he looked away. Naruto walked out of the door from the house to the shop and screamed, can someone come lock up, as he walked to the door and unlocked it and began to walk down the road. Naruto had made it about 100 yards from the shop when he was frozen in place and he said, not again, as he couldn't move. Shikamaru voice said, Kijmain no jutsu success. Choji bag him and tag him. Choji ran past Shikamaru over to Naruto and threw a gurney sack over Naruto head and body, and Naruto head came out of a small hole in the bottom and Choji tied it tight around his feet and grabbed the feet and said, okay, and the shadow stopped, and before Naruto had a chance to react Choji slung him over his shoulder and Naruto screamed, let me go, damn it. Shikamaru walked over and put duct tape over Naruto's mouth and said, damn loudmouth blondes. Trying to alert the whole village. We are caping you, damn it. Naruto's muffled voice came through the duct tape and Choji said, sorry Naruto, but as your friend we're not letting you leave. We don't care about the fox, but we do care about you. Naruto kept trying to get free as they walked down the street and Shikamaru said, won't work. We used this on my mom once and she couldn't get out, so we know you can't because you're not half as scared as she is. Now I don't know what you think about Ino, and at this point I don't care, but when we heard what happened I knew you would try to leave and we can't let that happen, so we're keeping you from yourself. Now be a good little hostage and you can eat the ramen we have at my house for you. Naruto glared at him as he walked behind Choji. Naruto sighed and let his head down and quit trying to escape, and about 5 minutes later they arrived at the Naris home. Shikamaru opened the door and Choji came in and Shukaku asked, do I want to know? Shikamaru said, it's too troublesome to talk about right now. Okay, you can release him now. Choji SATs Naruto feet down on the floor and Naruto made a run for the door only to be captured again by the shadow of Shikamaru, who turned him around and marched him to the eating table, and once they both sat down Choji sat 20 bowls of ramen on the table and Naruto looked at it and Shikamaru said after Choji took the bag off, either you eat it or I have my mother feed you, and that is way too troublesome. Naruto closed his eyes and asked, why are you stopping me? I am leaving the village. Choji slapped him over the head and said, no you are not. Naruto rubbed his head and asked, and why the hell not? Akunia hit the table in front of him and Yoshino Nara said, language young man. I will not have that kind of talk in my house. Naruto smirked and Shikamaru paled and said, no don't, and Naruto said, what the hell's wrong with the way I think talk, lady? I can talk any damn way I think, please. You're not my mother, so don't be at me. Shikaku ran out of the house along with Choji and Shikamaru, and before Naruto had a chance to understand mounts and Yoshino blew and she appeared behind Naruto grabbing his ear and dragged him toward the bathroom as he screamed, ow, let go of my thing ear lady. Outside of the house Choji asked, do you think H is going to be okay? Shikamaru said, no man, I never seen anyone who had the gall to do that to my mother. Shikaku said, I have. She castrated the guy and then she started at his toes and worked her way up using her kitchen knife to cut every inch of his body, and then she poured hot sauce on the guy's wounds before throwing him on top of a campfire and then used salt to put it out. The guy killed himself to end the pain. I fear our young friend is not long in this world. When they made it to the bathroom Yoshino quickly bound Naruto hands behind his back with a bath towel and she stuck his head in the toilet while she flushed it, and she turned on the sink water and pulled out a bar of hand soap that is especially designed for butchers, and she pulled Naruto's head up and as he opened his mouth to gasp for breath she shoved the soap into his mouth, closing it with the palm of her hand, and she looked into his eyes and said, lesson 1 Naruto, that you missed out is when a mother tells you to watch your language you will do it or you will have to have your mouth washed out with soap. I don't care how you talk outside, but when you are inside of my home you will talk with manners and respect, as she pulled the bar of soap out. Naruto glared at her and said, F you, you old hag. Naruto was shoved into the toilet again, and as he shook his head back and forward, she grabbed his boxes and pulled up on him, giving him a wedge, forcing him to scream into the water, and she pulled him out, sticking the bar back into his mouth, and she glared and said, "Do you understand me now?" as she waited 30 seconds and pulled the bar out. Naruto said, "Go to hell, B." 20 minutes later, when Shikaku and the boys came back inside, Naruto was sitting at the table with a towel over his en, and he belched and soap bubbles came out of his mouth, and Yoshino said, "Manners, Naruto." Naruto said, "Excuse me, mother," in a quiet voice. Yoshino said, "Good, Naruto, now eat up and remember to keep your elbows off the table." Naruto said, "Yes, mother," as he took slow bites at a time of his ramen. Shikaku blinked and said, Dear, what happened while we were outside?" Yoshino cleaned up another bowl and said, "Oh, I was just teaching Naruto here on manners." "Nothing really, right, Naruto?" Naruto said, "Yes, mother." Shikamaru looked at Naruto and asked, Naruto, are you okay?" Naruto said, "Of course I am, why wouldn't I be?" Choji said, "Well, you seem a little, what's the word I am looking for?" Shikamaru said, "Manored. Why do you keep calling my mom mother?" Naruto glanced at Yoshino, who walked into the kitchen, and he said, "Help me, guys, Shush is scary and tried to kill me, please," as she came back in the room and she asked, "Please what, Naruto?" Naruto gulped and said, "Please may I have another bowl," as he made sure his elbows were off the table. Yoshino said, "All right, but this is the last one." Naruto said, "Thank you," as he slowly ate it. When he was done, he asked, "May I be excused?" Yoshino said, "Of course, go take a bath and you can stay in Shikamaru room tonight. I think I got some cloths that can fit you." Naruto said, "Thank you, mother, you're too kind." Shikaku asked, "Dear, why does he keep calling you mother?" Naruto said, "Yoshino-sama has asked me to think of her as my mother when here in her house. It is such an honor I could not refuse, because to do so would be insulting." Yoshino said, "Thank you, Naruto, now go get a bath." Naruto gulped and asked, Do you have a bathroom without a toilet, mother?" Yoshino said, "Of course not, now go on, get." Naruto quickly got up and left toward the bathroom, grabbing Choji and Shikamaru's hands. When they got to the bathroom, Naruto pulled them inside and closed the door and said, "Okay guys, that woman is too much for me. I am making a break for it and want to know if you want to come with me. I figure we can turn on the bath water and lock the door and sneak out of the window after creating 3 kijbunsons and having 2 henge into you guys, and that will give us a good 10-minute head start. I will make some kijbunsonbi that will henge into us and blanket the village, and while she is trying to find us we can sneak over the walls and be in wind country before sunrise. We can then head toward a port and catch a boat and get the F out of the elemental country." Oh no, as Naruto realized what he said and covered his mouth, but Yoshino appeared behind Naruto and plunged his head back into the toilet, shocking the boys as she pulled him up and shoved the soap into his mouth. Shikamaru said, "Now you see why she is troublesome." As the soap was pulled out, Naruto said, "Troublesome." That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.